A very good morning and welcome back to another daily market outlook. We're kicking it off with EURUSD and it played out to absolute perfection. So we indeed saw yesterday that further downside push, and what has now happened is that we've pretty much just pulled back all the way in towards the bottom of this overall, let's say, kind of like range of price action at the moment that we're seeing. So what happened is that we pretty much just dumped in towards the downside after breaking that fractal low over here at the top. After that, what happened is that we saw another fractal low get formed over here. We formed also a new area of supply, which price has currently pulled back in towards. So at the moment, what I'm looking for is for this fractal high over here, so the high of this bearish candle over here, to be respected, because that is initially where the overall push in towards the downside originated from. We've now pulled back in towards that supply zone, and we're now looking to see if we can catch any further downside in towards this fresh area of demand. Over here, for me, there's no real fresh area of demand, so I'm not really looking for a full-blown reversal in towards the upside yet. So for now, personally, still looking for further downside, at least in towards the zone number 1. So that's what I'm looking for on EURUSD. Now going in towards the 15-minute time frame, what we can then see over there is that we've made a pretty nice pullback in towards the highs as of now. So this morning, what you can overall see is that this was the low over here on the 15-minute time frame. This is the high and this is the low. We've now pulled back in towards the highs, and now what we're waiting for pretty much is just structure to shift bearish. So overall, what has now happened is that we kind of had this demand flow in towards the highs, so push up, push down, push up, and then a little bit choppy price action until we formed this high, where we pretty much came in towards this area of supply, this imbalance candle, and from there we kind of started to see a push back in towards the downside. For now, what I'm waiting for pretty much is, I think this is a pretty important low to see broken. I'll be waiting for that low to go, and then I'll have more confirmation that your dollar might be ready to start continuing further in towards the downside. However, this is also pretty dependent on what the dollar index is going to be doing, but I'll touch upon that in a second. So for now, it's still further downside possible if we do see some bearish momentum kick in from this area of supply. For myself, there's still liquidity positioned right below this low. So this low over here, try to take out that low, fail to do so. So there's still liquidity resting over here with this fresh area of demand. Now going in towards the dollar index over here on the 4-hour time frame, what we can then see over here is that pretty much exactly what we were anticipating happened. So we did in fact actually see a push further in towards the highs from that area of demand, and from there the market just started to rally up higher and higher. We've now grabbed the liquidity above this high and also above this high. I was actually waiting for a little bit of a higher push in towards this imbalance. Didn't happen, but still very nice to see the liquidity being grabbed. Liquidity got grabbed and then a dump in towards the downside. Another additional confluence for this, let's say, heavy bearish reaction yesterday was overall premium versus discount pullback. So as you can see, the market pulled back exactly in towards that 50% mark, liquidation of the high, and then aggressive sell-off. So for now, overall kind of internal structure is still bullish with the high, the higher low, the higher high. So what I'm waiting for at the moment is for this area of demand to play out and to see a continuation of that bullish trend. If we break the low of this bearish candle over here, then we might start moving down lower. So this morning, it's all about respecting the overall low over here. Now moving on in towards Aussie dollar, what we can see over on Aussie dollar on the 4-hour time frame is obviously a beautiful push in towards the downside. Like I mentioned yesterday, there was no real area of demand over here to, let's say, provide us with a full-blown reversal. This morning, what has happened is that we've seen a reaction to this order block over here. This is pretty much, if you draw it from body to wick, the only fresh order block until, let's say, the lows over here. So it's obvious that after this big push in towards the downside, we are now in fact pulling back up higher. So for now, what I'm looking for, or what I'm looking at, is this overall buy before the sell zone over here. From where we could see a potential reaction on Aussie dollar and a potential continuation down lower. Do keep in mind though that the overall structure has already facilitated a sufficient pullback in towards discount pricing, so we could start pushing up higher. In my opinion, we are going to continue down lower from this area of supply until we break this overall fractal high over here of this 4-hour candle. So this overall 4-hour candle is now your fractal high, and that is the high that facilitated that push in towards the downside. So now if we break that high, we have that beautiful change of character. So waiting to see, and then we could see some further upside push. Otherwise, still looking for that further downside move. Now moving on in towards pound dollar. Pound dollar on the 4-hour time frame, what have we seen? We saw that beautiful dump, as I explained in yesterday's video, exactly in towards that 1-hour area of demand and liquidating all the lows. So some beautiful price action on pound dollar. We just fully dumped in towards the downside. So that is, or I'm out for that position. So for now, what I'm looking at is pound dollar just pretty much consolidating over here. What I'm now concerned about is that we do still have a lot of equal highs positioned over here where a lot of liquidity is resting above. So do keep in mind that if we do start to see some kind of like structural shift on the lower time frame, we could continue up higher. For now, I mean, we have this buy for the sell which we're reacting to, so still looking for that further downside push. I mean, overall, we are still bearish from this high over here in towards this low, and this is just purely the pullback. At least that's what we expect after liquidating this swing high over here with that wick. And now ultimately seeing kind of like the lower time frame shift, we do ultimately expect further downside to be facilitated. Do keep in mind that I only have like the full confirmation of that further downside push once we break this low over here, so this fractal low. And on the 1-hour time frame, what you'll then see is that that's a swing low. So let me just show that for you. As on the 1 hour, we have a higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low. So now what has happened is that this low still hasn't broken this high over here. So we're now just pretty much actually waiting even for the low over here to go. So once that low over there goes, then we have more confirmation. Okay, we're ready to kind of like take out this low all the way down below over here. Until then, I mean, pound dollar is kind of still now in a range once again, but still looking for further downside, as that is in line with the overall 4-hour trend. Now going on and moving in towards NZDUSD. So let me just alter the chart. So NZDUSD over here on the 4-hour. So we pulled back beautifully in towards this area of demand as well. Remember, we had zone number 1 and zone number 2. Zone number 1 did not provide any reaction at all. So now we're in this zone number 1. Over here. So now what you want to look for is potentially a pullback back up in towards the highs. Going in towards the 15-minute time frame, what you then want to see, you want to see a structural shift. So what we saw is that when we came in towards that area of 4-hour demand here, to our left, what you then want to see is a structural shift, right? So if we then look at NZDUSD over here, you can see lower low, lower low, lower low, lower low, and now we've broken this high over here. So now you can potentially look for those longs up higher, at least back up towards this liquidity high over here, which is the top of kind of what I like to call a range over here. So that's what I'm looking for now on NZDUSD. So still some potential upside, at least in towards this swing high over here. So that's what I'm looking for, and just wait to see if we see any confirmation according to your strategy. Now moving on in towards gold last of all. So gold over here on the 4-hour time frame has reacted once again to the lows. So what we got yesterday was pretty much liquidation of this low and now a further upside movement. So still waiting to see if we can target this zone over here. Now going in towards the 15-minute time frame, what we can then see is that pretty much what happened is that we had or what we have is a liquidity low still resting below over here on the 15-minute time frame. So over here we have 15-minute liquidity. Yesterday I was looking to see actually if we could target that liquidity low. Overall, what we've been doing is just reacting to supply zones. So over here at the top we had a supply zone which broke this low over here. What then happens is that the market came back in towards there, and from there we dumped down lower. Once again we formed a new lower low over here. Then again yesterday, pretty much afternoon, afternoon, we pulled back kind of like into the extreme over here. Not really any clear areas of supply in my opinion, kind of liquidating these highs. Saw a bearish reaction, but it was just temporary, moving in towards the sell before the buy. So overall gold is kind of ranging here on the 15-minute time frame, with liquidity resting above the highs, but also liquidity still resting beneath the lows. So I'll just be waiting and sitting gold out until we either take out the high or the low. So that's it for today, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you have any questions, make sure to join Discord, and I will see you over there. Thanks.